this is Tali from Tali's Crochet Creations, and in this video I'll be guiding you through the Genesis sweater pattern. I'll be working through the yoke, part of the body, and the sleeves. So I used 2 of Wands You and Me. It's a wool blend with wool and acrylic. It's a weight 5 yarn, and it calls for a 6.5mm crochet hook. However, in this pattern, I'll be using, or will be using, an 11.5mm hook, or whichever hook you need to obtain your gauge. So the first thing that you want to do is create your slip knot, which I'm doing here. And then you're going to foundation single crochet the amount of single crochets you need for your size. So I'm just doing a sample size here. I'm not going to go through the entire pattern. So, but go ahead. I want you to go ahead and foundation single crochet the amount of stitches you need for your size. I'll link I have a tutorial for foundation single crochet that I'll link below. It's fairly easy to grasp once you get the hang of it. You just insert your hook in the top 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 1, and then yarn over again and pull through the last 2 stitches on your hook. So once you've gotten the amount of chains that you need, you're going to join. Be sure that you don't twist your chains. You're going to join through that first stitch. Just pull your yarn over, pull your yarn through that first stitch and then the loop on your hook. You're going to chain 1 and turn your work. So I did 48 stitches, even though I'm not doing the full entire size. I went ahead and foundation single crochet 48. And what I'm doing is working through the back loop for 11 stitches. Now I'm going to increase in my 12th stitch, which is 2 single crochets in the back loop only in that same stitch. And what you're going to do is you're just going to repeat what you just did, single crochet 11 or whichever number you need for your size, and then increase in the next stitch. And you repeat that all the way around. So that's your second increase. do your third increase. and then you have one more round to go. So you should have 12 stitches remaining for the first 3 sizes, or whichever number it's you have for your, if you're doing a different size. So you always want to increase in the, you're going to increase your last stitch in the row is always going to be an increase. Now remember that you joined to your first stitch, so make sure you work into that last stitch where you have that join from the beginning. And you're going to find the first stitch that you did from this last worked row, and you're going to join with a slip stitch through the back loop of that first single crochet. And you're going to chain 1 and turn your work. Now you're going to work in the first single crochet of that row and increase in the, you're going to single crochet, I'm going to single crochet 12 since I single crocheted 11 in the previous row. I'm going to single crochet 12, and then the next stitch, which is the 13th stitch, that is where we're going to do our increase. So 2 single crochets in that 13th stitch. If you're doing a different size, it's going to be a different number. One way where you can keep track is before you begin the row, you can use the stitch markers and just mark every 11th stitch or every 12th stitch, every 13th stitch, where you do your increase, and keep moving up for each row. That was our second increase, so we're going to go and do that 2 more times. Your second to last stitch. Remember, you worked in the back loop only, so that loop is going to be a little lower. Just pick it up and work your increase in that last stitch through the back loop. Then you're going to join to the first stitch in that row through the back loop again. And chain 1 and turn your work. So my next increase in this row, I'm going to be increasing in the 14th stitch. So I'm going to single crochet. I'm single crocheting 13 stitches, and then I'm going to increase in my 14th stitch and do that for 3 more times. now we're coming to the end. We're going to pick up that back loop and work our increase right into that last back loop stitch. And then you join through the back loop only of your first single crochet of that row. Just be careful that you're not working into your chain one. You're going to continue increasing in the next consecutive stitch for each row until your desired size. So go ahead, and I have my I went ahead and put stitch markers into, this is where at the armhole separation, so you want to put your stitch markers into the 4 designated stitch according to your size, and you want to mark the side that you last worked, because that's the side you're going to begin your sleeves. So you're going to go ahead and single crochet all the way up to your first stitch marker, and we're still working in the back loops. So single crochet in the back loop only all the way up to your first stitch marker. So now we got to our first stitch marker. I'm gonna take it out, and working through both loops, you're gonna slip stitch that place mark stitch with the next place mark stitch, skipping all single crochets in between, because that's where your sleeve is going to be formed. We're forming our sleeves now. You're going to go through 2 loops, yarn over and pull through both stitches, and then the hook, loop on your hook. And you're just going to continue working through the back loop only, starting from the next stitch after that second place marker. And then you're going to single crochet through the back loop only all the way across to your next place marker. To our third place marker, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to slip stitch the next stitch with the other place mark stitch, which is going to be your last stitch in the row. You're going to slip stitch those 2 stitches together. Since it's the last stitch in that row, you're just going to join with a slip stitch to that first single crochet made. And of course you're going to work in the back loops only. You're going to slip stitch that through that back loop. Once you've done that, you're going to chain 1 and turn. And just to show you how it should look, you should have something that looks like that. It's a bit smaller for video purposes. That's your sleeves, and then your body. So So to work the body, it's pretty easy. Your seam is going to be formed on the side. So you turn your work and just continue single crocheting around each in each single crochet stitch to the back loop only. The slip stitch that you made does not count as a stitch. So you got to the slip stitch area, you're just going to work right over it and go to the next single crochet. To the last two stitches, remember that you worked in the back loop only when you joined, so just pick up that hanging loop and place your last single crochet in that last back loop and then join to the first single crochet. Chain one and turn your work. And now you just continue doing single crochets all around until you get to your desired length, and then you fasten off. So your seam is going to be on one side of your shoulder and then work all the way down on the side underneath your underarm. So now we're going to do the sleeves. So remember, you marked where you last worked, so you're going to start on that side. If you don't mark, if you finish on the wrong side, you're going to start your sleeves on the right side and vice versa. So go ahead and rejoin your yarn where the slip stitch occurs. You chain one and turn the work to work along the armpit, and then you just going to single crochet through the back loop only around the sleeve. Go ahead and join after you finish your first row, and now you have the option to oops, I worked in the chain one. Be sure to work in that first single crochet stitch and not the chain one. Okay, now that that's rectified, you have the option of decreasing your sleeve, or if you don't want a fitted sleeve, you can just keep single crocheting in each stitch around. But if you want to do the decrease, you're going to single crochet first and then single crochet two together, and then keep doing your single crochets until you get to the last 3 stitches. Remember to pick up that loose loop. Oops, I forgot to decrease. Work to the last 3 and decrease in the third and second to last single crochet stitch, and then single crochet in your last stitch, and go ahead and join. Turn your work, and you'll do a regular row of all single crochets around. And decreasing is pretty much your preference, so you can continue to decrease as much as the pattern says, or you can stop if you feel the sleeve is comfortable enough for you. It's really up to your preference. And that's pretty much there is to making the Genesis sweater. It's fairly simple. You just go ahead and continue the sleeve, whether you decrease or not, and just remember to repeat for the opposite side. And by now you should have, it depends if you did the body or first and then the sleeves. You can do the sleeves and then the body. It's entirely up to you. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, you can contact me by email or on social media.